Stands, welcome back to my channel, and today we are here giving you an update on the BMW F900R. So now that we've done 350 miles on the bike and we're midway through the run-in process, I just wanted to give you an update talking about some of the really great things on the bike that I've found and some of the other things that are not quite so great that you might want to know about. So without further ado, let's crack on. First thing I want to talk to you about is the touring screen that is on the front of the bike. You may have noticed if you watched my previous video when I did the first impressions around having wind deflection that you really wanted to have this touring screen so that you got a bit of wind deflection when you were riding the bike. I've got to say, although it's an optional extra, got to be truthful with you, if you're looking for some wind deflection when you're getting up to any kind of motorway speeds, this thing does absolutely nothing, so probably not really worth the upgrade on that one. Another thing that I'm really getting used to and gotta say really enjoy is that quick shifter and auto blipper. Don't tend to use it on mid corner or first or second gear. I do tend to find that it's a little bit too juddery if I was to do that low down in the revs. But what I do tend to find is the moment you're getting going and you're banging up the gears as you're kind of a bit more on the road, absolutely fantastic. And also as you're off the throttle coming down the gears, really great, so you don't need to touch the clutch. You can just knock it down and away you go, and uber helpful, and finds it really easy to use. So since the last time I spoke to you, I have done some upgrades with R&G and put some crash protection on the bike. So let's quickly run you over which ones I've got. So first one I've got is the front fork crash protection. So this literally goes straight through the fork, one side to the other, bolt on either side, so lovely and easy to fit. Next thing that we got was the two R&G crash protections on the engine, and again we went for that teardrop style. This one's quite interesting because you do actually have to take the engine bolts out so that you're able to put these ones in. One of the little point for all of you people out there that are really mechanically minded is do be conscious on the torque or the torque settings of adding these in. So I spoke to the BMW dealership and they were saying the torque settings for this bolt was 80 Newton meters. When you get the kit that comes with R&G, then they are suggesting that it should be 40 Newton meters. So I can only assume it's to do with the bolts that are actually going in, and obviously if you ever get to a stage where you need to use them if they're doing their job. So those two have been added. The ones that are the most difficult though is actually the rear bolt, or the rear one. So there's actually a couple of choices that you can use here, and I really got caught out. So this one is the bobbin version that actually goes right the way through the middle of the axle. Really easy to fit. Again, it's a bolt that goes straight the way through, bolt on either side, so nice and simple on that one. There is also another option though, and I'm just going to cut in now to show you that other option. So the other option is this one. Basically, this is quite a clever thing. What you do is, if these are not in place, so the crash bobbins aren't in place, then this can basically go straight into the end bar. The reason I have both of them is because I made a mistake, quite frankly. I ordered this one wanting it to be a bobbin. Main reason for being a bobbin that I wanted was so that I could put it on a paddock stand. In reality, what I actually was looking at on the R&G website, and I'll put a photo of it up here somewhere for you, is you actually see this in position and then a bracket that comes down and then the bobbin kind of fixed onto the bracket. So I was expecting you bought both so that you could have the protection and the bobbin, but it's actually one or the other. Now I've actually decided to keep both, but yeah, the way this one works, you literally put it in, tighten it up, that bit expands and clamps onto the inside of the axle. So that one works really well. So I'm now got a choice and I can interchange as I see fit. But basically we've now got crash protection on those three. The final piece that I also did as well, although there was a bar end on here, I've actually gone for the R&G bar end as well. So really easy to fit, one bolt in, one bolt out. So those are the crash protections. Another thing I do like on this bike is the seating position. I've got to say, after riding sports bikes, this seat is so uber comfortable. The general riding position I find comfortable. One of the negative things that I said when I first rode this bike was actually the difference between the riding or the seating position to the peg position. I've got to say, having done 350 miles on this bike now, just not a problem at all. So yeah, really nice and very comfortable. Gone out and done some rides and done over 100 miles in one go, and very comfortable on it, no problems whatsoever. So one of the other good things that I do really like is this little thing just here. So it is actually a power supply. I don't know if you can see that, but yeah, this allows you to buy an adapter, and do beware that you need a BMW adapter to plug into it. It's not straight cigarette socket, but yeah, you can buy an adapter and that allows you to get an extension to a USB connection for things such as charging your mobile phone. So I think that one's really good. Do like on the electronics of this bike that I didn't really know about but I've now started to use quite a lot is actually a gear shift indicator. So I'm running in this bike at the moment. Due to that, I need to make sure that I'm changing gear at 6,000 revs. I've been able to set it so that I get a lovely white flashing light. It's really bright that zooms up at 6,000 revs, so I don't need to keep on watching the speedo. It just kind of peripheral vision picks up that you need to change gear, and then you can bang it up or down, obviously using the quick shifter. So that's a really nice other touch. While we're on the electronics as well, one of the other things I've got to say that I've been really impressed with, I do have a data logger on this bike, so it GPS tracks where the bike is at any given time, and it also does your lean angle, your speed, your acceleration, your deceleration, and all saves it through a mobile phone app, which is really great. As well as that, when I've got my phone connected to the screen, I can also use it as a sat nav, and you get turn-by-turn directions on the screen, which is really great. Not that I normally need a sat nav on the bike, but if I'm planning on going somewhere I don't really know where I'm going, then that is going to be uber helpful. So I found that very handy. So one of the final things that I wanted to talk to you about with the crash protection, and a little bit of a pain to be honest with you, is I just mentioned to you that I wanted the crash bobbins. Now the reason I wanted the crash bobbins on the rear was so that I could use it with a paddock stand. So here I have one of my faithful paddock stands that I've had for many years. Only problem is it doesn't actually fit. So if you look at this, the paddock stand isn't actually wide enough to fit on the bobbin. Now, I've actually got several paddock stands and they're all exactly the same. It seems that for whatever reason this rear swing arm is so wide you can't even actually get a paddock stand on it. I've looked at several different types of paddock stands, friends have got, I've got, and just can't get anywhere near it, unfortunately. So what I have ended up buying, after going through the situation of buying what I just explained to you and buying a protector and then buying the extra so I could have the bobbin for the paddock stands, I'm now at a stage that I'm not actually using it. So a little word to the wise, if you're planning on doing the same thing, don't. The crash protection you want is the one that I haven't fitted, the one I showed you a moment ago. I think it's a bit cheaper as well, and then you want to spend a bit more money on a different type of paddock stand, and I'm just about to show you that paddock stand. Okay, so here are the two different types of paddock stand, and the one at the front, my manky old paddock stand, is the one that you would normally expect to use that I've not been able to use on this bike, and the other one behind it is the one that I've now bought. It cost me a little over £100 delivered, and this is the Abba Paddock Stand. Basically what this does is the two connections you've got here basically go into the swing arm of the bike, and then you have a lovely arm here that allows you to take the bike from a down position and raise it up so you get the front wheel off the ground. If you want to, you can then add in a front paddock stand as well, so both wheels are off the ground, which is what I've actually been doing. So I'm quickly going to go and run through and try and show you putting this on the bike. I'm going to be a bit careful because I'm actually on a reasonably steep hill here, so I'm not actually going to let go of it, but it gives you a view of exactly what that looks like. One of the things you should be aware of is the basic model does actually come without specifics for your bike. So this piece is actually the specific mount for my bike, and yes, even though I'm on a BMW F900R, then I've been able to get hold of the specific elements that I need to make sure that this one fits my bike. Silly little thing, might be something daft, but this is the coolant expansion tank. Okay, you might see at the moment that the coolant line is actually on the bottom mark, and I could probably do with putting some in and topping it up a little bit. Only problem is, without taking the fairing off, and actually in the manual, the way it says to put coolant in is there's a little rubber bung just in there that you're supposed to try and somehow take off, and then get a bottle with a pipe that goes around the corner and pours the coolant into that expansion tank, and then somehow you've got to try and put the bung back on again. Yeah, that's a bit daft. Okay, so one of the other things I just want to show you is under the seat. So let's just quickly take this seat off. So off it comes. There we go, there's the underside of the seat. So one of the things that you will notice with the underside of that seat is there is no storage area whatsoever. The only little bit of storage area that I have managed to find is in here. There's a bit of a gap, and yeah, that's basically the storage area that I've managed to find. Other than that, that's literally it. Now what I have been able to do is I've wired in a battery charger which was actually quite easy to do. So again, I've got a lead that I can pop in and out when I'm leaving the bike for a period of time, as I will be now, as we're in November and we're going to be going through winter months. But if you're looking for storage area, you're not going to find any. The other thing that I will mention, and something that one of my YouTube followers actually highlighted to me that I didn't even think about, is if you've come off Japanese bikes, in particular sports bikes, what you would normally have at the back here is somewhere where you would actually clip on your helmet, so that when you've done a ride and you're walking away from the bike, you clip the rings of your helmet on, close the seat down, and then basically you've got a storage for your helmet while you're walking around. As you may notice, this bike does not have that, so just another little thing for you to be aware of. So in general, I've got to say I am really loving this bike. It has been a fantastic choice. I'm so unbelievably pleased that I went for this bike. I find it comfortable to ride, I find it easy to ride, I find it so simple to be able to glide through corners riding this on the road. In actual fact, this bike is a little bit on the dirty side at the moment. Even after having a clean, I've been out and riding it pretty much in all weathers. We're now in November, it's winter month. I do just want to highlight that this is a fantastic bike. I'm absolutely over the moon with it, really thrilled by my choice. It's such an enjoyable thing to ride, and would highly recommend if you're thinking of a new super naked bike or a middleweight naked bike. This is really worth a look because it's so much fun to go and ride. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please remember to not only like the video but also hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future videos like this in the future. Thanks again for watching, and see you again soon.